Alright, here we are again, Algebra 2, Chapter 3, Section 2. I'm at number 11. And it looks like I've lost control of my pen already for this lesson. Let's see if I really have. Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is negative 30i squared. But I squared is negative 1. So I just get 30. Here, I have 8i minus I squared. So 8i minus negative 1 is 8i plus 1. Now that is not standard form. The real part needs to come first. So I get 1 plus 8i. That's an I. Supposed to be anyway. Okay. Here I'm going to FOIL again. So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times negative I is negative 3i. I plus 5 is 5i. And a positive I and a negative I multiply to make a negative I squared. Okay, so this is 15 plus 2i plus 1, right, because I squared is negative 1. So I get 16 plus 2i. Moving on, it says solve. Okay, I have x squared plus 4 equals 0, so I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides because I'm getting the x by itself. I'm solving. So x squared equals negative 4. When I square root both sides, I need to write my plus or minus. So x squared equals plus or minus 2i. Alright, 2x squared minus 11 equals negative 47, so I'm going to add 11 and get 2x squared equals negative 36. Divide by 2. Get x squared equals negative 18. Square root both sides with a plus or minus. Get x equals plus or minus the square root of a negative 18. 18 is 9 and 2. And 9 is a perfect square. It's a 3. So I get x equals plus or minus 3i radical 2. The I comes from the negative 1 that's hiding in there with the 18. The 3 comes from the 9. Alright, moving on. It says find the zeros. Okay, well we're just going to solve this. 0 equals 4x squared plus 20. Subtract your 20 on both sides. Get negative 20 equals 4x squared. Divide by 4. Get negative 5 equals x squared. Square root both sides with a plus or minus. Get x equals plus or minus I radical 5. That's as far as we can go because there is no simplification for the square root of 5. Alright, here we are. Big page, lots of problems. Solve the equation. These are meant to just, some of them be quick in your head, so pause the video because I'm going to start writing down answers. Alright, this is x equals I radical 13 with a plus or a minus. This is x equals plus or minus I radical 38. And 13 was easy. I know that it doesn't have any perfect squares in it, like a 4 or a 9. 38 think about real quick. Is it divisible by 4? Is it divisible by 9? Is it divisible by 16? Okay, no, so we're done. Okay, over here I'm going to subtract 11. So I get x squared equals, what is 3 minus 11? Negative 8. Now, when I square root that negative 8, it's going to break down to a 4 and a 2. So my answer is x equals plus or minus 2I radical 2. Over here, I add the 8 to both sides. So x squared equals, now what's 36 plus 8? It's negative 36, so 36 bad guys, 8 good guys, they go to war, and you should have negative 28. When you go to square root both sides, let's see here, is there a perfect square inside of a 28? And you should be thinking to yourself, yes, 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 there is, there is. What is it though? It's a 4 and a 7, so that's a 2 and a 2. And remember, it was negative. So here we go. X is equal to plus or minus 2I radical 7. That square root's like a jail cell, so the I gets a get out of jail free card. The 2, because there's 2 of them, they get to break out of jail, and remember, one gets lost in the woods, and then the 7 is still stuck in jail. Alright, over here, first we're going to add the 7. So I get 3x squared equals, what's negative 31, so 31 bad guys, plus 7, 7 good guys. Negative 31 plus 7, we've got 24, and it's negative, so negative 24. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X squared equals, what is negative 24 divided by 3? Negative 8. Hey, we just did an 8 a minute ago. Remember what it was? It was right up here. So x equals plus or minus 2I radical 2. Okay, over here I'm going to subtract the 33 on both sides. Get 5x squared equals, what is 3 minus 33? Hopefully you got 30. Divide by 5, and x squared is negative 6, because that was negative 30. Sorry, guys. Now, square root both sides. You get x equals plus or minus I radical 6. And square root of 6 does not reduce, so we are done. Find the zeros. Remember, you just pretend it's a 0. So you get negative 7 equals x squared. So x is equal to plus or minus I radical 7. Pretending it's a 0 equals negative x squared minus 4. I add the 4 to both sides. So I get 4 equals negative x squared. Divide by the negative 1. Get negative 4 equals x squared. So x equals plus or minus 2I. Okay, pretend it's a 0, subtract the 1. So it's negative 1 equals 9x squared. Divide the 9, and you get the square root of negative 1/9. And it's plus or minus, and it's equal to x. Okay, so what is the square root of 1? Just 1, and the square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of a negative is an I, and it is plus or minus, and it is equal to x. Alright, so that rounds out that lesson. Sorry we had to have 2 videos, but at least we got our pen back. I hope you're having a good day. Get to your practice work.